I've been in private practice now for about 7 years and started working with Jody probably at about the 2 year mark. When I first started, setting my fees was certainly challenging, and I was very reluctant to raise my fees. Jody certainly was an asset when it came time to discuss whether or not to raise fees and how to do so. Um, I think that that's something that probably a lot of lawyers struggle with is when to raise fees and how to do so. And Jody is someone who knows my local market and knows the prevailing rate. And so having someone to bounce those ideas off of was very helpful. For me, it took a coaching session and a conversation with Jody for me to realize that I was no longer a new business. I was so deeply involved with my cases and in the trenches, basically, of practicing law that it took an outsider to help me realize I was no longer a fledgling business and that I had passed that point and it was time for me to level up. Jody really helped me to see that and implement processes and procedures as a business that was no longer new and level up and start reaching a new level of achievement and revenue. So in that way, Jody has been a tremendous, tremendous asset for me to work with personally. She knows tons of people, and as a solo attorney, I don't always have the resources or the connections that I need, even though I do network, which we all know we're supposed to do. There was a point in time where I had a high media case and needed a PR person now. And having Jody in my corner meant she was able to connect me to a PR person immediately that was able to come in a crunch and hit the ball out of the park. So it's definitely a benefit to have someone like that in your corner. When I had my first employee and it was time to draft an employee handbook, I'm no HR expert. I've had plenty of HR handbooks over the years, but obviously never kept any of those. And drafting an employee handbook is not in my wheelhouse. So Jody being able to give me a template and my being able to just tweak it in the way that I wanted was definitely made my life a lot easier. When it came time for me to hire my first employee, my legal assistant slash executive assistant, Jody was a huge asset. I was drowning at that point, or at least that's what it felt like. I didn't have time to hire an assistant. That's why I needed an assistant. So Jody came in and take over the whole process from asking for resumes, posting the ad, reviewing them, reducing the number of resumes that I actually had to look at, giving a skills test, implementing a personality test to make sure that that person was going to be a good fit for my firm, and helping me to reduce the number of actual interviews that I had to do. So she certainly helped me to come out from underwater and get an absolutely excellent assistant in place who's still with me 3 years later.